Do not play this deck. This deck will ruin Master Duel for you and your opponents. Everyone you play against, it all starts with one fire rank 4 and ends in either your opponent decking out, your duel taking 56 turns, or the main goal, ending on Exodia the Forbidden One coming down and getting you that special victory on the way to completing those missions for those gems. This is Crooked Cook Turbo into Exodia. Now, you're not really going to be winning 99% of the time with Exodia, because once you get Crooked Cook on the field, you're just kind of sitting there for turns and turns and turns until your opponent either scoops or outs him, or you draw into the Forbidden One. Now, what does Crooked Cook do? Well, he's a generic rank 4 that when there's no other cards on the field, he's unaffected by card effects, which means no targeting, no banishing, no sending back to the extra deck, no destroying. Nothing can really touch him, aside from being destroyed by battle, which is one really big weakness, but one we can overcome by using either our right-hand shark or our Astral Kuriboh as materials when we summon him, which all give him the effect of being unable to be destroyed by battle, which is pretty big for this deck. But if he's so good and he's unaffected and can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects, then how does your opponent even out him? Can they even win the duel? And the answer is yeah, they still can, otherwise this would be completely unfair. So they can either deal damage by effect or by attacking directly, or piercing, which something like Tri-Brigade can do with the Zodiac core. They can do that very easily. Your opponent could run something like Gamma Seal or Kaiju and just drop this on them, get rid of him that way. Or the main kind of medical is to play something like Underworld Goddess, who can summon herself out by using one monster your opponent controls as a link material. So you just link him off into this and then you are good to go. That is why you really want to run 2 or 3 copies of this card, because in case that does happen, you can then very easily get this guy back out. But I don't own 2 or 3 copies, because this guy is available only in the Legacy pack, and I refuse to spend crafting material on something we can eventually get for free. But enough on him. How do we actually get into him? Well, there's a few ways. First of all, we have Beautunaful Princess, who can search out your main combo card. Your Buzzsaw on summon from Duel Links will summon out a level 4 fish from the deck, Brand Shark, then you just overlay into your rank 4. Or if you want to play around the Ash, you can summon this guy or the Buzzsaw, then summon Astral Kuriboh with its effect, make it rank 4, and then go in that way. If you want to search out your Beautunaful, you can use Piri Reis Map, which pays half your life points to add that monster to your hand, which is really, really good, but does then leave you wide open for burn damage. And then the rest of the deck is all things that are going to help you to kind of come back or stall the duel out, right? We have, of course, the Maxx for drawing cards, find Exodia quicker. We have the Ash Blossom to stop some pretty powerful searches. We have the Swift Scarecrow, which is going to end the battle phase, so if you are trying to stall out, or if your Crooked Cook does die and you want to save a turn, drop this down, and then in the battle phase they can't do anything, then you're free for your next turn. The pot is only really good before you see the Crooked Cook, right? Because the second the Cook's on the field, if you play any other card, he's going to be targetable. He's going to be affected. Which is where like I've lost so many duels, because I thought, you know what? It's turn 25, I've got the Cook on the field, and I want to just draw through my deck a bit quicker. And I think, you know what, I expect Prosperity, and then they target me and destroy me, right? So it's useful for baiting out the Ash negate, which if you've been on ladder, you'll know that Ash is usually in your opponent's starting hand like 80 to 90% of the time. It's so often, so if you have cards that can bait and negate and play around that, then that's going to work out really nicely for you. But without further ado, let's go on to the duel replays. Actually, no, one more thing. If you can put Zeus in, then I recommend it. Because if there is a chance that your opponent has a board out, they might win, you can then just attack him with this, it won't die, then make Zeus, block the board, then make another copy of Crooked Cook in your main phase 2. That's the one thing I'd recommend for this deck, is if you have Zeus, play it. If you don't, you can still cheese some wins. Anyway, let's go on to some of the most tilting gameplay I've ever had. So this is our first duel versus Tri-Brigade Zodiac, and we opened actually really, really good. We have multiple ways to go into our Crooked Cook. First of all, of course, we could use Beautunaful Princess, summon her out, search out the Buzzsaw, search out the Brand Shark, but with Beautunaful, if they have an Ash Blossom, then that combo's dead. She's banished, you don't get a summon off, you've lost the combo. So we can just play around the Ash Blossom, right? We can summon the Buzzsaw get a search off, the Ash Blossom is fine, then play Astral Kuriboh, and that gets us into our rank 4, number 59 Crooked Cook. But this time the opponent didn't have an Ash Blossom, so we're actually sitting kind of pretty, and we can go right into our number 59 Crooked Cook, who will sit on the board and be unaffected and can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects, and that is literally all you've got to do in the duel. You now just sit there and watch your opponent activate Fractal, discard its send kit, Kit's gonna then send Nerval, I believe, yep. And they're gonna do all of the Tri-Brigade combos, right? They're gonna get Keras, they're gonna use Keras' effect, they're gonna go into a Link summon, and they're just gonna try their best to out it. We're gonna Maxx so we can get at least a little bit draw. He does have a Call by the Grave to stop that, which is fine. You know, if he had an Ash as well, fine as well. But there's not much that your opponent can do if they don't have the out right away. They're just gonna sit there, and they're gonna go in, do their combo, we're gonna speed up now, and they're gonna make their Link monster, gonna summon out the Kit. Kit's then going to banish, gonna go into another one into Warriors, in for a Link for Apollosa Bow the Goddess with 4 negates. And of course, they're gonna try attack in, and nothing's gonna happen. Yeah, because he can't be destroyed by battle. So there's that. And we're just gonna sit there and keep drawing. He's gonna play Revolt. Revolt's gonna summon out all these Tri-Brigades from the graveyard to then go into Tri-Brigade Shurig, the Ominous Omen, who again can on-summon, banish a card on the field. He's gonna attempt it, but it's not going to work because it's unaffected. It's so good. And I thought that this meant that I was safe for this duel. Right, so attacking, he's going to try it. Maybe it's only immune once. No, twice. He's going to imperm. He's going to imperm, negate it. That doesn't work either. It's unaffected. That's not how it works. And so we're just going to keep ending our turn back and forward, making the game lag in the replay because it's trying to do it so quickly. But eventually, he's going to discover partially an out. He's going to realize he has some Zodiacs, and one of those Zodiacs can give the monster it summons piercing damage. And so when that came out, I was super worried because it was so close towards the end, and I didn't know what to think, you know, if he'd have actually done something. I'm going to Maxx here, of course. Maxx, can get us some draws, hopefully kind of draw into Exodia quicker. It's not really going to help all that much, of course. But at the moment, this is what it kind of, you know, comes to, is that players will at some point get so bored that they'll think, you know what, I'm just going to sit there and I'm going to special summon, I'm going to do full combo, I'm going to get a whole board up in case I can out it. I'm going to get the dual assessment points, it's going to be fine, and they can't do anything, right? They're just passing back and forward, and they probably didn't take the time to use their brain to read that they could have outed this so much sooner. I looked at their deck afterwards, they had so many outs in their deck, and here he comes, right? This guy here, Zodiac Thoroughblade. This guy will give an Xyz monster piercing damage. So if he'd have this turn, summoned this, and then gone into one of his Xyz, then he would have dealt me, you know, 15 damage, and could have done that every single turn. I would have then been forced to put this in attack mode, but he does have an access code, which would have then destroyed us as well. Thankfully, we have the Raigeki. Gonna come down, nuke the board, but that's not going to actually be enough. It turns out that he plays more than one Thoroughblade, and he also plays another copy of a different Zodiac that can attack directly. And yeah, I had no outs for that. But thankfully, the amount of turns we had left in the duel was more than, you know, that was like the amount of draws we had was less than the amount of turns it would have taken to win the duel. So we're just gonna keep drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing. He's gonna keep trying popping off. He's gonna bounce it back to hand. I was really worried they'd summon out again, but he's not. I think he might not have read his card. He's gonna link it off into the Bulbo. Can you see? Sorry, into the Bulbo. Bulbo can now attack directly for 800 every single turn, which I was terrified about. I was really worried because here he could have just made a Zodiac with this and dealt piercing, but he didn't use his brain. He used his brain to find out the attack directly, but not the piercing one that would have won in the duel, because I had no out to this. Unless I just like attacked in and kept like trying to deal damage, I had no out until we found the Exodia. It does feel good to just, you know, obliterate your opponent in ranked, especially when they're like a high plat player. I think they might have been like plat 1 or something. But now let's go on to one of the downsides with this deck. I'm gonna go to a loss, because it's always good to show where the deck kind of has some flaws, and burn damage is one of them. Now, one of the cards in this deck is called Piri Reis Map, that allows you to pay half your life points to search out a 0-attack monster from your deck. So here we drew a very good hand, right? We could have just summoned this and then hoped there was no Ash, right? Summoned this, hope no Ash, got full combo into our guy, and that would have worked. But I thought, you know what, we're going to bait the Ash out with the Piri Reis Map. That will work. There's no way they'll be playing a deck that can burn me for 4k damage. You know, there's no way. So of course we're going to go in, we're going to get our Buzzsaw Shark, Buzzsaw into the Ran Shark, then going to go in and see summon into our Crooked Cook. And then our opponent is playing Cubics. And he opened the nuts. He's revealing 3 cards to special summon Crimson Nova, which during the end phase burns both players for 3k. Oh yeah, which is really not good. Which is why, here, Zeus would have been insane. Because on my turn, I could have swapped this to attack mode, and attacked in, and then I could have attacked to one of his weaker monsters, right? And then I could have made Zeus pop the entire board, then because I have Beautunaful, I could have gone into another rank 4. I did try to get lucky with the crazy box and try and out him, just because this was randomly in my extra deck, right? But I didn't get it. So I am going to lose to the banish, or to the banish to the burn, but that is something you can genuinely lose to. It's just straight lose to burn. He's going to go to his turn, end the turn, and kill me. This isn't a 100% win rate toxic deck, right? It's just a very stally deck that's very boring for people that, you know, for yourself as well, because you're going to be sitting here like here, look, 65 turns. This duel took like 40 minutes of just sitting there and passing. You can tell this guy came from Duel Links, was a Duel Links player. He came in, he was playing heroes, he wanted to have a good time, and I just sat there and ruined his evening. We of course opened the Prosperity. This hand by itself is pretty terrible, right? We need to get lucky off 6 cards, which we do get lucky, that's fine. We have Maxx for drawing, we have evenly matched, so if we do lose next turn, we can then nuke the entire board. That's great. So we go into our Prosperity, you know, we're gonna mill, and I believe we actually, yeah, we do mill, we do reveal the Exodia pieces. You'd assume that it sends a signal to the brain of the opponent playing that maybe if I can't out this board, I should just leave, because eventually I'm gonna be Exodia'd, right? So we're gonna set this, he's playing heroes, someone's Blazeman search Poly gonna come down, get a Maxx just so we get some draws in there, and he's going to, what's the one he makes first? Let's have a look. He's gonna Poly into a copy of Sunriser. And he's gonna draw into, and he's gonna use Shadow Mist search out for the Liquid Soldier, and he's gonna use Miracle Fusion to go into Escaridao, which again, another Duel Links card, and he's just gonna attack in, because this guy, this Sunrise, I believe, on attack, can banish a card, he destroy a card on the field, so he thought, okay, maybe that works. Then he plays Phoenix Chain to try and negate it. Try again, attacks in. This doesn't work. It's unaffected. This isn't working. We've got the Raigeki for later on, but he's gonna keep going in. We're gonna keep discarding. He summons out the Blazeman going to search out a Poly. And again, he's gonna keep trying and keep trying. And this guy just like wouldn't stop attacking. I think, you know, if you eventually attack too much, and there's a sin. There's the Malevolent Sin. The Duel Links card is gonna try and banish it. Doesn't work. Attacks in, doesn't work. He needs to keep doing this for turns and turns and turns and turns. And the thing is, this guy had the out, and the out was in the Duel Links card. This guy in his deck was playing Anki, and here he uses Mask Change to summon out into Darklaw. So Darklaw does turn off your Maxx's, which is fine, but if he'd have made an Anki here and just kept attacking in directly for 1200 every turn, I would have lost. Yes, I could have used things like Swift Scarecrow, right, to end the battle phase when he attacks directly twice, but I would have lost, given we already knew that 2 pieces of Exodia in my deck were on the bottom. He's also going to try and use Baguska to make it so that he's going to negate the effects or whatever of all the cards defense mode, right? And so they can't activate. And so he thinks, okay, maybe that works, right? Let's go back to attack mode, attack in. Is that going to work? No, it's just not going to work. And so I was sat here last night for about 40 minutes on Discord, just clicking end turn, discard, end turn. It is the most boring gameplay, but it's funny to see how people try and out it and how they mess up. And when they do discover the out, how long does it take? Because if they take, if it's like turn 10, then fine. But we're getting on to turn 50 now. We're on turn 50, 52, 53. We're coming very close. 6 cards left in the deck. If he found the out here, that would have been horrendous. Right? That would have been a whole amount of time wasted. Now he tried. I think he tried. I think one of my other opponents tried to deck themselves out first. It was a Live Twin player. They wanted the win or wanted the loss on their terms. They didn't want to be Exodia'd. They decked themselves out. Which I guess is another valid strategy, right? If you don't want to give him dual assessment points, you could just deck yourself out. But there we go. This is probably this guy's first loss to Exodia Master as well. He probably thought, you know what, I want to see what this looks like. I want to see what it's like to spend 40 minutes losing to Exodia. and I'm so glad the replays have a speed up function because that would have been hell to go through live. But that is Crooked Cook Turbo. Obviously it can be played differently, can be played better, but that was the way I played it, had some success with it. It is a very toxic deck. If you have the cards for it, try it. It's, or maybe not, actually, you know, maybe don't try it just for the sake of the game, so I can have that clickbait title. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next Duel Links. It's not Duel Links, it's Master Duel video. See you then.